there. Today I'm going to show you how to make this placemat with the checkerboard edge, and there is also a heart on it that I'm going to show you later. There's a whole lot of variations. You can find the written pattern on my blog at www.crochetlovemelbourne.com. You can also download the PDF pattern, so you can get that from Etsy, Ravelry, Lovecrafts or Payhip. So the link to that is in the description below. Now let's get started. So for this placemat, I'm using relatively thin cotton. You can use DK cotton, or you can use this as like a 4 or 5 ply fingering weight or a sport kind of apply. The only main point with the cotton I'd recommend is that you use a recycled cotton, because it's a little bit thicker and rougher. I think in the US you could use the Dishie cotton by Wecrochet, or you could also use the Lionbrand 24/7 cotton. If you're in Europe, you could use a Hobbii, any kind of Hobbii cotton. Probably the 6/8 would be best, or the 8/8, the thicker ones. Now, I'm using a relatively thin one in this. I'm using a 3mm hook and of course tapestry needle and scissors. So let's get started. Now you've got two colors I've used. Okay, to start your placemat, you're going to tie the yarn around your 3.00mm crochet hook into a knot. Then you're going to chain 65 chain, okay, 65. I'm going to start chaining 1, 2, 3, oops, not too tight, 4, 5. I'm going to pause the video here and I'll meet you back when we've both got 65 chain. Okay, so here we go. We've got 65 chain. That's our foundation chain. And we're going to start doing the first row of the checker pattern. We're going to work doing a double crochet into the third chain. So 1, 2, 3, hook under, going into the third chain there, and just doing a double crochet. Then you're going to do 2 more. So we're counting the first 2 chain as a double crochet. So this time we're just doing 3. We're going to be doing little groups of 4. There's going to be 16 groups of 4. Now I'm only going into, see how I'm only going into this one bit here of the chain. Don't try and go into both, otherwise you won't get such a fine sharp line across the bottom. So now we've got, counting the 2 chain here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and actually I shouldn't have pulled that through, because I'm only going to do half a double crochet on the last one, because I want to pull through the contrast color. So I've got that here. Now I'm going to tie the contrasting color on to this one on the back. So tie that on to secure it. And then I'm going to be finishing the 4th double crochet with this. So if you do the last pull through with the color, then it makes a clean color change moving on to the next checker group. So pulling that through the last 2 loops. Whoops, fabulous. We'll try that again. Pulling that through the last 2 loops. Now I'm going to be holding the end and the color that I'm not using, and I'm going to be crocheting over them. So I'm going to put, with the new color, yarn under, and then I'm going to go into the next stitch, the next chain, pull through, and you'll see that I'm covering the ends and covering the one that I'm not using. So again, that's 2. So you can see I'm covering over the yarn. See how I'm going over it? And on the 4th one, what I'm going to do on the 4th one is just pull through once, and on the last 2 loops, again, I'm going to pull through. Now, it doesn't really matter whether you do it front or back. Some people may say differently, but I say as long as you cover over, it doesn't matter. So changing color again on the last 2 loops, I'm pulling through with the new color. So far we've got 2 little bunches. These are our little checkers. Then I'm going to keep going with, again, covering over the ones I'm not using, double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now if you're a beginner, and again I'm going to change color. Now I've covered the other yarn end bit. So changing color, I've got 3 little bunches of 4, and I'm going to keep going to the end of the row. If you need more detailed step-by-step photos, just get the PDF pattern, which you can find the link for below in the below description from this video. If you just click down the menu, and you'll find all of the rounds and the description and all the details. Please follow me and subscribe to this channel. That would be great. And I'll see you at the end of this row when we've got 16 little groups of 4. Okay? Okay, so I'm nearly finished row 1, but I just wanted to show you something at the end here. Because these 2 rows with the checkerboard row, you're doing 1 row and then another row with this going into the same stitches with the same color. So basically 2 rows and then you swap the pattern over. So because of that, you don't need to carry that second one in the last little bit. You can just leave it behind and just use in the last 4, just use the 1 color and just work your 4 double crochet. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you're going to chain 2 at each end. So chain 2, turn your work around. Now this is going to be basically the back. I'm going to skip the first one, so again I'm using that chain 2 as the first stitch. So I'm just going to skip that first stitch and then work into 3 of those. I just feel this is a bit neater. And then of course in your last stitch there, you're going to change over. Now I'm going to keep the yarn at the front because this is my back. So I'm going to keep carrying the yarn this way. And so I will work by covering that yarn and then into the same colors. So in a minute I'll show you what the front looks like. You're not really keeping the yarn fully in the back, but as much as you can, because then it just has a better appearance, I find, if I can sort of keep the carrying on the one side. So the front's going to look like this, and you will be blocking it a bit so it will look a little bit neater than that. And then you just continue along, so you're doing all the rest of the row in the same manner. So I'm going to pause the video here and meet you at the start of row 3. Now don't forget, you can get the PDF pattern, which is printable. It's got step-by-step photos, and I've also included actually a lot of extra tips and tricks in the pattern as well, because you've got to make it worth buying. See you at the end of row 2. One thing I want to emphasize at the end of row 2 is that I want you to make the last stitch into the turning chain, the original chain 2 that you did. This is, I really want you to do right on the edge here, and the reason is it'll make your edges straighter. And then in your last 2 loops, you want to change color. So you're going to start row 3, chain 2, with your new color. So this is when you start getting the checkerboard effect. So now you're going to continue. Now you're going to skip that first one because we're making this chain 2 count as a stitch, and you're just going to work 3. So at the start, that's what I want you to do, and then you've got, I've kept it chain 2 on the edges. You could do chain 3, but it might be a bit blobby, so I wanted to make it really tight and neat. So again, whoops, you got to carry that across, of course. Pull that through, and I'm carrying the yarn behind and I'm covering it up. Now you can see the checkerboard pattern is starting to come through once we change the colors, kind of like a nice ice creamy. Now you can see that these are starting to get tangled. What I like to do is probably every couple of rows you want to untangle your yarn a bit. I know there's ways that you can do it to keep them apart, but I just untangle them every couple of rows. But hey, that's just me. I'm a bit relaxed maybe about that. And then I'm going to pull that through. So you can see now you're starting to get this. We'll do one more row. We finish after row 3. Row 4 is going to be again into the same colors, and then you'll really see that checkerboard effect. And then you're going to repeat rows 1 to 4. So you've got 8 rows of the checkerboard pattern. And then you'll be getting into plain DC, which is really good TV watching crochet. Right, I'll see you at the end of row 3. And then we'll do row 4, and then we'll zip to the plain double crochet, and we're nearly there. Okay, so the end of row 3 is the same as the end of row 1. You don't have to carry this other color because you're actually just going to be using the same color again at the start of row 4. So at the end of row 2 and 4, you do carry the color, and the ends of row 1 and 3, you don't. So here I am just working the last 4 of row 3, and I'm going to work the final double crochet into this turning chain, and then chain 2, and then in row 4 it's the same as row 2. You're going to do the same color again, and again skipping that first one because I'm counting the chain 2 as a double crochet. So I'm only working 3 in the first little box, and then I'm going to pull that one through, and then continuing. Oops. Now the only thing with this Echo cotton, it's a little bit stringy, so sometimes it gets a bit stringy. Just be careful of that. But I do like the texture. The Echo cotton or the recycle cotton, it's kind of thicker and rougher, which is better for placemats. And we can cover up that. And now you'll see we've pretty much got the checkerboard pattern. Oops, making a lot of mistakes right now, but that's good. You can see that nobody's perfect. And the thing about crochet, just persist. Do not give up. This is a pretty easy pattern. It's really just double crochets. The heart pattern has a few other stitches. So for the pattern of the heart, you're going to find that it's a free download in my Ravelry. So now you can see this is starting to form that checkerboard pattern, and you continue that way until the end of row 4. So pause the video here, meet you at the end of row 4. Then you're going to repeat rows 1 to 4. So you've got 8 rows of the checkerboard pattern. There are a lot of variations with this placemat. There's lots of different things you can do. So in the PDF pattern, I've explained at least 4 different variations about how you can make it, just to give you some extra ideas. Okay, so now we've finished row 4 and starting to look good, isn't it? After row 4, you just repeat rows 1 to 4 again, and that's going to end up looking like this. So your placemat goes sort of sideways like this, and you put your plate on here. So I wanted that pattern down there, and then up the top right I've got the little heart, or no pattern at all, it's up to you. So as you can see, from now on the pattern becomes very simple. You've done your rows, your 8 rows once you've done those, and then it becomes very boring. You can just watch TV. You're just putting a double crochet into every single stitch and just continuing to make 32 rows. So you're going to do 32 rows of the double crochet until you reach the end. Then you're going to fasten off, weave in the end. Now to find the directions for the heart pattern, if you go to where the written pattern is on my blog at www.crochetlovemelbourne.com, you'll find a link to my free heart pattern download. You can download the heart. Then all you do once you've crocheted the heart from that download pattern is you pin the heart onto here, and then just use what's called running stitch, so in and out and in and out, to sew it onto here. Okay, and then your Valentine's Day placemat is done. I suggest you make at least one more. You can also make different colors. The PDF pattern also gives details of how you can make different placemats, and you can see some of those in the start of this video and at the end of the video. You could do checkers at either end. You could do half checker, half plain. So there's a couple of ways you can do variations just for placemats you can use every day. Thanks so much for watching this video, and please subscribe to my channel. Please watch all the other videos. Bye.